Hi friends, it's Miss Tara with another edition of Story of the Day. Here's Extra Yarn by Mac Barnett, illustrated by John Klassen. On a cold afternoon in a cold little town, where everywhere you looked was either white of snow or black from the soot of a chimney, Annabelle found a box full of yarn of every color. So she went home and knit herself a sweater. And when Annabelle was done, she had some extra yarn. So she knit a sweater for Mars, too. And there was still extra yarn. And when Annabelle and Mars went for a walk, Nate pointed and laughed, and he said, "You two look ridiculous." "You're just jealous," said Annabelle. "No, I'm not," said Nate. But it turned out he was. And even after she'd made a sweater for Nate and his dog, and for herself and Mars, she still had extra yarn. Oh my goodness. At school, Annabelle's classmates could not stop talking about her sweater. "Quiet," shouted Mr. Norman. "Quiet, everyone. Annabelle, that sweater of yours is a terrible distraction. I cannot teach everyone with them turning around and looking at you." "Then I'll knit one for everyone," said Annabelle, "so they won't turn around." "Impossible," said Mr. Norman. "You can't." "Do you think she can?" "Let's turn the page and find out." "If she can do it, do you think she can do it?" "Did she do it?" "Yay!" But it turned out she could, and she did, even for Mr. Norman. And when she was done, Annabelle still had extra yarn. So she knit sweaters for her mom and dad, and Mr. Pendleton and Mrs. Pendleton, and for Dr. Palmer, and for little Louie. She made sweaters for everyone except Mr. Crabtree, who never wore sweaters or even long pants, and who would stand in his shorts in the snow up to his knees. "No sweater for me, thanks," said Mr. Crabtree. So she made Mr. Crabtree a hat, and even then Annabelle still had extra yarn. She made sweaters for all the dogs and all the cats and all the other animals too. Some people thought, and soon Annabelle would run out of yarn, but it turned out she didn't. She made one for her mailbox and a bird feeder and a bird. And she knitted a sweater for her house. Oh my goodness. So Annabelle made sweaters for things that didn't even wear sweaters. All the sweaters she made for her. Oh my goodness. Things began to change in her little town. News spread of this remarkable gift of the girl who never ran out of yarn, and people came to visit from all around the world to see the sweaters and to shake Annabelle's hand. One day an archduke who was very fond of clothes sailed across the sea and demanded to see Annabelle. "Little girl," said the archduke, "I would like to buy that miraculous ball of yarn, and I'm willing to offer you $1 million. Do you think you would take it for $1 million? I don't know. It's pretty special yarn. What do you think?" "No, thank you," said Annabelle, who was knitting a sweater for a pickup truck. The archduke's mustache twitched. $2 million. Annabelle shook her head. "No, thanks." $10 million. "Take it or leave it." "Leave it," said Annabelle. "I won't sell you the yarn." And she didn't. So that night the archduke hired 3 robbers to break into Annabelle's house, and they stole the box and took it to the archduke, who set off across the snow and sailed over the sea, back to his castle. The archduke put on his favorite song and sat in his best chair, and then he took out the box as he lifted its lid, and he looked inside. What was inside? "I don't see anything in there but needles. What do you see?" His mustache quivered, it shivered, and it trembled. The archduke hurled the box out the window and shouted, "Little girl, I'll curse you with my family's curse. You'll never be happy again." But here's the box on a little iceberg, and Going across the ocean. Where do you think it's going to go? Who did it find? Found Annabelle. What do you think is in it now? And it turned out she was. The end. Thank you so much for watching Extra Yarn by Mac Barnett and John Klassen. We'll see you next time for another story of the day, but until then, ear hugs. Bye, friends.